Hi, my name is Ryan, and today I just want to talk to you a little bit about my thoughts on business. I've recently seen a lot of active duty military members looking to start businesses or those in transition looking to be their own boss. And I just want to give my 2 cents on what a business is and who it'd be good for. 90% of good ideas get lost through the fear of action. And I do think that's true. I think that people get caught up in the but if. Right? This is a really good idea, but if it fails, but if I can't get funding, but if my wife doesn't agree, right? So hopefully this will help you out with the but if situation and you can become part of the 10%. Uh, Today, I'll just cover a little bit about my background, uh, some general business information as far as what is the purpose of a business, the values of a business, some things to consider, and finally, the bottom line. Very simple. So, a little bit about me is I'm active duty military. I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I have since I was a little kid, I would go through it in a sandbox and filter out soft sand and run around and try to sell it for toys. I'll sell you my soft sand for a dump truck. And believe it or not, it worked. I've also run a successful window tinting business. I've run a lawn care business, a landscaping business. I've failed. I've failed at window tinting. I've failed at vinyl wrapping. Um, and I currently do mobile vehicle detailing and consulting. So my limitations are legal, right? I can advise you on when it's appropriate to be incorporated as opposed to just being a sole proprietor. I don't have a lot of information on taxes, those kinds of things. Um, so those are just my limitations. Now let's go on to what makes a business a business. Um, a business is to increase the value of the stakeholders. And one thing we don't necessarily think about when thinking about stakeholders is the business is a stakeholder. Now, when I ran a t-shirt business, 20% of the margins went to that business. And it would help us grow, it would help us with customer acquisition, marketing, etc. The next main stakeholder, in my opinion, is your customer. Without your customer, you don't have a business, you don't have employees, right? So make sure that your customers are happy. After that, your employees, their livelihoods, their families. You run a business for a reason, and hopefully that's to improve your own life, so yourself and also the municipality. You're a business operating in a community, and we need to act as such. So that means pay our taxes, get involved when we need to. They are a major stakeholder in our business. Moving on to values. This is my opinion. The amount of value your business provides to people is directly proportionate to the long-term viability of your business. Now, what does that mean? That means that the more value you can provide, the better off your business will be long-term. Some reason businesses fail is poor customer service, bad products, right? Made in China. My stuff broke. I'm not going back to that. Maybe you have a lack of demand. Maybe you can't identify or connect with your customer base. Those things are very hard to do. So things to think about before you start actually operating a business. One thing to consider too is, what do people value? Right? People in America value convenience. They value consistency. They value priceless items. So what is a priceless item, right? Is pets, family members. Some people, their houses, their cars. things that people really connect with and identify with. Those are places to start and have a business because people care about it and it creates more value in their lives. Customer retention is also huge, right? You want repeat customers and you want word of mouth. It's free advertising, and also the cost of customer acquisition is also very expensive. It's something that people don't think about, but marketing is very expensive. The cost of new customers is way more expensive than it is to retain your current customers. Also, depending on the product that you have, customer loyalty can be fickle. It is what it is. It's the day and age we live in. How elastic or inelastic are your products, right? These are some factors that we need to think about. And what does elasticity mean? It's the ability for your product or service that you're selling to be substituted with another, right? So we can take blankets, for example. You have 1,000,001 blanket options, and I can go out and I can buy a blanket from anywhere. Now, airlines are very inelastic, and you only have 5 carriers, right? And in inelastic markets, prices will change, and people will also jump ship pretty quick based on the price. So your pricing and your competition, think about what are the alternates to my product or service. You also need to think about your barriers to entry before you start a business, as far as, how difficult is it to get into the industry? And a drop shipment has very low barriers. Well, what's the con to that, right? Is that the market's flooded. So it's very hard to do that unless you have a huge customer base already. Low barriers to entry would be like an airline, where it costs millions of dollars just to float the loans. So things to think about there. Also, who are your target market? Are you advertising to 90-year-old senior citizens, right? And how does products or services play a role into that? If you have one product, right, a gray t-shirt, then you're going to have a very specific market. If you have a service, you're going to instantly broaden your market scope, right? The young professional needs their car detailed. Well, they don't have 2 hours to detail it, but they can pay somebody to do it. The housewife who is trying to sell her car needs a car detailer. The old lady who isn't physically able to, she needs it. So instead of focusing on just one specific target, offering services instantly broadens your market. And finally, track your matrices. This was something that I didn't do in the beginning. I didn't see the value in it. And I think on some of these businesses, I really wish I would have a lot sooner. The data that you track helps your business in the future understand where its customers are at, where your pricing is at, where your competition is at, and then ways to make your business leaner and more efficient in the future. So moving on is the bottom line. We need to really just identify value, right? What skills do we have that can bring value to customers' lives? And not only your customers, but to your business and your family and your community, ultimately benefiting all of the stakeholders. Provide exceptional customer service, and understand who your customers are, right? If you're selling a product, you need to understand those customers. You need to be able to relate to them. If you're selling a service, you need to understand what their demands are, and you need to be able to be ready to meet those demands. And finally, track your data. Track your data early and track your data often. This will help in running your linear regressions, your demand curves, your coefficients, figuring out how elastic your market is, as well as correlations, right? We need to figure out if my customer makes $30,000 a year, how likely will they spend, $10,000 in my store, right? Those are things that we can understand by tracking matrices early and often. I hope that this helps you make a decision on whether you want to start a business and possibly what direction you want to go with starting a business. Thank you very much.